welcome back to my YouTube channel Coding Gigs. So let's continue with the next topic. So today we are going to learn about increment and decrement operator. So already we have used these terminologies in our loops, right? In for loop, while loop and do while loop. Already we have used this plus plus, minus minus operators. If you carefully remember or try to recollect. So we basically use these operators for updation purpose, right? If you remember in while loop, we have initialized a variable, let's say I equals to 0. We check some condition and then we write some I plus plus. So that is that updation part which we do by incrementing it by plus 1. So that is called as increment operator. So in increment operator, there are two types of operators. Okay. So first is pre-increment operator and the other is pre-decrement operator. Now the word pre itself tells us that we are doing something before. Okay. Similarly, pre-increment operator and pre-decrement operator is something which is incrementing it first. Okay. So let's say you have a value I. You are incrementing the value of I and you're using that incremented value in any line of the code or in any statements. That is called as pre-increment operator. And pre-decrement means that you are first decrementing the value of I. That decremented value itself will be used in the lines of code. Okay, whatever lines of code you write, that decremented value will be used, not the original value of. Now we are going to study about post increment and post decrement. Now what does post increment and post decrement means? Post means doing something afterwards. Pre means doing something before itself. Okay, remember these terminologies. So post increment and post decrement mean you will use the original value of that particular variable first, then you will increment it by 1, and then afterwards that incremented value will be used in any lines of the code. But in pre-increment, you will first increment that value. That incremented value will be used. Okay, but in post you will use the original value. Now if you get little bit confused, I have made it little bit simpler for you to understand. So let's move on to the next slide. So here you can see some kind of analogy you need to remember whenever you solve such kind of problems, and if you get some answer which is not your desired output, but you need to remember the concepts. So this is an analogy which will help you to understand that why actually I'm getting this output instead of the output that I was desiring to get. Okay, so first is post increment. Post increment is something you write it like this, like a plus plus. So this is the denoted denotion or representation part. Okay, so a is a variable, you are incrementing it by 1. So that is called as post increment. Post increment, the plus plus will be afterwards the variable. Will specify the symbol afterwards. Okay, after the variable. Okay, so here it is said that you will increase the value by 1, but you will use the old value first in any of the statement. Similarly, in pre-increment, you will increase the value by 1, but you will use the increased value first in any of the statement. For post-decrement, you will decrease the value by 1, but you will use the older value of the value of A in any of the statement. And for pre-decrement, you will decrease the value by 1, but you will use the decreased value of that value of A in any of the statements, right? So I will help you to understand this with the help of an example. I will code it in front of you and you will get to understand. Let's say I have four variables. A is initialized with 5, B is initialized by 5, C is also initialized by 5, and D is also initialized by 5. So there are total four variables with you with the help, and the values of those four variables is 5. Okay. So suppose if I write cout A, okay, afterwards I write cout A plus plus. Okay, afterwards I write plus plus A. Okay, let's see what is the difference and what output we are getting. Okay, so first is A. The value of A is 5, right? Next, I told that we are going to use a plus plus, which means first the older value itself will get printed, right? And then you will increment it by 1. Now what does my current value afterwards becomes? A is equals to 6, but you are printing it a plus plus, which means the older value is getting printed. And when this value is getting printed, no, the afterwards a will be incremented by 1, which means 5 plus 1, 6. The value of a here, the value of a will become as 6. Right. And now afterwards what I've said, plus plus a. What does it mean? Pre-increment, which means first you will increment the value of a. The value of a is now 6. First you will increment it by 1. You will use the latest incremented value in the code. Okay. So that is why a was 6. You incremented it by 1. So it became 7. So that's why you're getting the output as 7. So this is all about pre-increment, post-increment. Understood? So now if I tell you what will be the output of this, B, put some space, B plus plus, then again put some space, plus plus B. Fine. Let's see what output we will get. Okay. So this is, I'll put a next line, right, in L to make it clearer. Okay, so same thing you're getting and then B. Now let's see why we are getting 557 again in the next line. Let's see. First is B. Value of B is 5. Fine. You incremented the value by of B by 1. Okay, but initial value will get printed. So value of B was 5, that got printed over here. Okay. Afterwards, after incrementing, the value becomes 6. Okay, so I'm so sorry, I'm using plus plus. So I want to explain minus minus to you, not plus plus. Okay. Already we have understood the plus plus operator. We are trying to understand the decrement operator now. Okay, let's see. Okay, so the output is 553. Now, why did we get this output? We will understand it step by step. First, the value of B was 5. Okay, so you got the answer as 5. This is understood. Then B minus minus. What does it mean? You are using post-decrement operator. So what will happen? You will use the previous value. That means the original value of B will be printed first, and then you are going to decrement it by 1. So afterwards here, if I put some space, here the value of B will become 4 now. You will use the original value, now 4. Okay, so now minus minus B means this value of B will be decremented by minus 1. Since it is a pre-decrement operator, you are going to use the updated decrement, updated value of B. So B got decremented by 1, which means B will become 3. Since it is a pre-decrement operator, you are going to print the updated value of B. So this is how your pre-increment and pre-decrement operator works. I hope it is understood till now. Okay, let's move on to the next steps on. Okay, so next slide says the example. Okay, so A value is 5, B value is 5, A value is 5, B value is 5, C value is 5, D value is 5. Okay, I'll help you. I'll make you understand this also, this example also. Initially, the value of A was 5. Here it is told as A plus plus, right? I'll use a darker pen or a lighter pen or white. So this will help, right? Okay. I'll use this color. Now it's visible, right? So A is 5. So you got the value as 5 because A plus plus means the original value you are using and then you are incrementing it by 6. Okay, so A plus 1. Then B minus minus, which means you're using post decrement, which means the original value will be printed, right? So that is why B is equals to 5. C plus 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 C, which means pre-increment operator, right? That means initial value of C was 5. You will increment it by 1, which will become as 6, and the updated value will be printed. So that is why C value is 6. Then minus minus D. Minus minus D means what? That pre-decrement operator, which means the updated value will be visible on your screen, right? So D got decremented by 4. Okay, minus 4. Excuse me for the representation that I'm using with the cursor. Okay, so I hope it is understood. So this is 4. I'll write it properly for you. So this is 4. Okay, it got decremented by minus 1. Next, in the next line, A is the value of A has been printed. So afterwards, after incrementing, the original value got updated by 6. That is why you are getting 6 as the answer. Then B, the value of B here was uh, 5, right? Then you decremented the value of B by 4. That is why you're getting the answer as 4. Here, if you remember, right? This is the post decrement. Okay. Next, C. C value is 6 now. Why 6? Because now the original value got updated to 6. And D, the value of D will become now 4 because the original value got updated to 4. I hope this is understood. If you have any confusion, you can just drop your doubts in the comments and I'll try to clarify as soon as possible. Right? So now let's move on to the next topic. Okay, I'll discuss this part. So this is bitwise operator. Now, what is bitwise operator? Bitwise operator means you are evaluating the values bit by bit. Now, what is bit? Bits are zeros and ones combination, right? So, in bitwise operators, you have the main thing which you need to keep in mind is binary, bitwise unary or not, bitwise and, bitwise or, bitwise XOR, shift right and shift left. So these are some important operators in bitwise. Okay, first is not, and, or, XOR, shift right and shift left. So this I'll explain to you properly. So just listen. Listen, now whenever you are using this bitwise operator, you need to understand few things. First is the truth table of AND. Okay, so I hope you have learned this part in your 10th, 11th and 12th standard logical truth tables, right? So first is you will get two values, let's say P and Q. Okay, and suppose if I write P and Q, so this is bitwise AND. Earlier we used double AND, if you remember. So this was the logical operator and this is the bitwise operator. So there is a vast difference between both of them. Okay, so I'm writing a truth table. Just remember this truth table for AND operator. So suppose you have 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So whenever, remember this analogy, when you are evaluating a AND as a truth table, when both the values of P and Q is 1, it will be 1, rest everything will be 0. And for P or Q, this is the representation of OR, bitwise OR. Okay. So the value, if it is 1, 1, it will be 1, rest, sorry, this will be 1. Okay, 1 and 0 will be also 1, which means that any of the value of P, either P is 1 or Q is 1, the output will be 1, else it will be 0. Okay, So 1 and 0 will be 1, 0 and 1 will also be 1, and 0 and 0 will give you 0. So this is the truth table of or, this is the truth table of and. I'll provide this with the help of notes to make you understand in a more easy way. You will be understanding this part in a more easy way. So that is why and operator and truth table, and this is the or truth table. Okay. So we have seen and operator, or operator truth tables. Now we are going to learn about or, not, and XOR. Okay, these two are remaining now. Okay, so I'll represent this here. So not is represented using this symbol, which is called as tilde. Okay, so excuse me for the mispronunciation, but so far I know this is the representation of the not operator in bitwise. Okay, so what happens is whenever the value of any variable is 0, 0 becomes 1 and 1 becomes 0. This is the main concept or main idea behind not. That's all. Okay, so now let's see about XOR. What does XOR truth table say? See, XOR में what happens is P, Q, P, Q. So this is the representation of XOR, which we call it as a caret symbol. Okay. So here you have values, let's say 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Always remember for XOR, if any both the values are equal, okay, if both the values are equal, you will get output as 0, else you will get the output as 1. So this was all about XOR. Okay. So we are done with and, or, not, and XOR truth tables. In the later on video, I'll explain what is left shift, what is right shift, and then we will solve some questions. Okay, how do we represent this bitwise operators? How do we use it in the form of code? Okay, so in the later on video, I hope this video was useful, and keep learning, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.